Hello, everybody. So I'll first start by saying it's been crazy couple weeks. So a lot of things have happened. I'm sure everybody knows. And I don't know if anybody's actually tried to look at any of my work before checking, before joining this chat. But I had to do a lot of hiding. So recently, the Thai government just made a ban on talking about alcohol on social media, so it's a bit scary. And even if you type in the word beer, you can be fined 50,000 baht or more, which is about over $1,000. And a lot of my work had to do with nightlife, a lot of my personal stuff. And so basically this past week, I made all my accounts private. I had to hide a lot of stuff. And even some articles that I was in, I had like 3 people who interviewed me, and I had to hide the interviews and everything because the way that they wrote the law is it doesn't matter when it was done, as long, like from 2003 up until now. So yeah, so if you are interested in seeing any of my stuff, I'd be happy to show it to you. You can just send me a chat, send me a message later, or if you go to my Instagram, I'll accept you. But that's the reason why things just suddenly went missing if you Googled me. There's still some stuff up there, but I did a lot of hiding. Okay, so anyway, to get to my chat, as she said already, I was born in Detroit, and then after that, I moved to DC for art school. And I wanted to talk a little bit about depression and religion and photography. So I grew up in a religious household with a single mother. And as if anybody's ever grown up in a single mother household, you guys know it's quite stressful as it is. And a lot of things are quite difficult. And my mother kind of clung to religion to feel better about the situation. And in doing so, she pushed a lot of that on to me. However, when I was a kid, I didn't know anything else. So I accepted those ideas. And I thought that's how things were. But I felt really, really guilty about pretty much everything I did. So if anybody came from a religious household, they know that anything that's considered secular is evil. So you go to a rock concert, it's bad. So I couldn't go to rock concerts. If you talk about anything sexual or, as teenagers do, it's bad. So yeah, everything is just guilt, 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 guilt. And so nothing against my mother. She's a wonderful person, and that's how she dealt with it. But I had a big problem with depression when I was younger. So as soon as I turned 18, I moved outside of Detroit. I moved to DC to go to school. I studied graphic design. And in doing so, I realized that I enjoyed the process of shooting images for design more than I actually enjoyed designing myself. And I really got this rush from documenting things. And even though I had quite a severe depression in university, when I was photographing things, it started kind of, I don't know how to explain it. My depression was kind of fading away when I was photographing things. And it wasn't just photographing things for, like what I was doing was for my school projects. But what I liked doing the most was when I was photographing my friends and the things around me. So around that time, I don't know if I'm sure you guys know Flickr. So Flickr started taking off around that time, and Instagram came later, Tumblr as well. And when these social media platforms started taking off, you would notice that, and also, I don't know if you guys know lomography. Lomography also was a big thing back then as well. And so people started posting a lot of stuff on these platforms. And as they matured a little bit more, you notice that a lot of the images started becoming very similar. And there were people that were famous, and I would look at them as a student, and I would start to try and emulate them because I thought that was what real photography was, that was what we would consider a good image. And on top of that, I started focusing too much on technical things. And I developed this thing called GAS. It's kind of like a joke in the photo community, but GAS stands for Gear Acquisition Syndrome. And that basically means that people collect cameras and the more they buy, the more they feel they'll get better at it. And what happens is you end up focusing more on buying and collecting cameras than you do on taking pictures. That's something to watch out for. So I started focusing on the things that I probably shouldn't have been focusing on. So collecting cameras, and then how to become a better photographer, quote unquote, but being influenced by what I was seeing on social media. So at first, before Flickr came about, I was shooting, things that I wanted to shoot. And then I noticed like, oh, well, they're taking pictures of this subject, or they're using these colors, or they're framing it this way. And so I started emulating that. And the more I was emulating things, and the more I was focusing on a technical aspect, the more I stopped feeling joy from taking pictures. And so what happened was I stepped back and I looked at all these pictures that I've been taken, and since those platforms developed, and I wasn't really proud of anything, and I felt like it really was kind of empty. And the reason why I talked about religion at the beginning is because religion was a thing that was to fill what my mother was using to fill like kind of an empty space, because she didn't know what she wanted to do. And I realized later in my life, it took me 20 years to realize, but photography was something that was my purpose. It was a purpose that I gave to myself. And when I stopped focusing on trends and technical aspects and started taking pictures for myself, I pretty much gave up religion. And I mean, for some people, if you're religious, and there's nothing wrong with that, but photography became my religion. And I realized that for me, the whole purpose of living was to take pictures. So what is a good picture? Well, it's hard to say what a good picture is. But after moving to Bangkok and meeting some really amazing people, for me, a good picture is a picture that can portray the honest feelings of the person who took it. I don't mean that every photograph has to be honest, but what I mean is that the person who's taking the picture feels something when they take it. It can be any feeling whatsoever, but it's a feeling that's not self-imposed or superimposed. It's not brought on by a trend or a hashtag. And a lot of people, they look at hashtags and trends and they take pictures around those. So you'll see like contests online, and people will make a whole series based on that contest. But I think it has to work the other way. I think that if you're taking pictures, you should be taking them for whatever reason you feel. And then if it matches up with something like that, you can submit. But I think that that honest photography and pictures that you take for yourself are the best types of photos. So anyway, so there's just some, I'm not going to spend too much time because we're almost out of time. But there's some slides here. This is in Bangkok, street food. This is Speedy Grandma, which is it's no longer there, but it's one of my favorite spaces that is in Bangkok, and one of the only spaces in Bangkok that doesn't censor work, which is very rare actually in Thailand. This was my magazine, which was Mao Mak Mag, which Mao means drunk in Thai, and Mak means very, and Mag magazine. So this is why I've been kind of hiding my stuff for the past week. And yeah, so and this is yeah, and I mean, I have a lot more I could say, but we have a short time. So if anybody has any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them.